Hello everybody. Today I will be talking about face. So portrait. I done some preparations. Here you can see the image I will be working from. And this is what I've prepared so far. So one thing I wanted to change was I want to make sure that you can watch exactly what I'm doing on the palette. So I've put it next to the area I will be painting. And I've done the first layer. Of course, it's always important when you paint a face that you make sure that you have a likeliness, and this is very important. So to some extent you have to correct all the time, unless you are the perfect painter who can paint it at once. Well, I'm not one of them, so I will be doing corrections all the time when I'm painting. And the most important thing when it comes to likeliness is also the position of the face. When you have the eyes, when you look straight into a face, you see that the eyes are in the middle of the face. But here it isn't the case. He's looking downward, so the upper side of the face will be more visible than the part that goes down from the eyes. So this is a major change, which makes it more difficult. But in general, there are things to say that if you have the eyes, they have a straight line, and the same goes for the mouth. So if those are not correct, you might have to deal with the situation that either the painting is not good or the face is somewhat distorted by expression. So I think in my case I will just have to make sure that this corner of the mouth needs to go up a bit. The same goes for the nostrils. They need to be symmetrical in this line. Of course, when you have a face that's like this one, has more space over here than it has over there, the nose is not that symmetrical anymore. This area is smaller than that one. So that's one thing you also need to be sure of to watch. So for the highlights I just used titanium white together with burnt sienna sometimes, and some Mars yellow. For the darker spots I use the burnt sienna together with the ultramarine, and if necessary also some cadmium red. Then we have here this nice color which is quite vibrant. It's a kind of Mars orange red. It's a nice color to paint with when painting really warmth into faces. I will be starting out with doing a bit of highlight with just pure titanium white. As you can see, anything that's pure makes it more brighter. So I guess it is here. Makes it doesn't need to be completely white though. You have to have some minor colorations in it. The same goes for other parts of the face. Of course, normally you expect that there is some kind of highlight on the nose, but this portrait doesn't have the skin that shines all the way for that effect. Her skin is quite contrary to glossy, so quite matte, and So what I first do, I do the highlights. This is not really a rule, but more something that makes it easier to see the values when you have the highlights already on. It's easier to see the other values of the painting. By this I mean you can see how dark you need to get in a certain area to get the right result. And over here, this area has some warm tones as well. So I will be adding some Mars yellow and some Mars red brown, so Mars orange red, so you end up with a kind of orangey warm tone. This is for this area. You see, my palette is always a mess. If you work more structured, you might try to use the piano palette, in which all the colors are in order of kind of a rainbow on top of the palette or on one side, so you can just take it and mix it on the surface of the palette. But that's a technique that is advisable for people who work quite neatly. I am not one of them. As you can see, the color is quite vibrant. It needs to be quite vibrant though. I can add some. This is also quite warm spot. The eyelid. I'm really fond of eyelids. I think if you have one painter that excels in eyelids, it must have been Rembrandt back in the day. He really was a master of eyelids. So these are warm spots where there is a kind of glow that indicates that the light that's coming in is from a source like the sun, and therefore there's a kind of power that gives a glow. This brush is a oxhair brush. It's quite a small one, a 2 flat. One of my favorite brushes when it comes to painting details. I use them a lot. And now it's time to blend in a bit, to make sure that all the values are not just separate dots of paint. Then there is also an area around here where it's very cool. You have this kind of bluish shade, which also indicates that outside there is a sky that's kind of blue. There is this theory about different zones, areas in the face where you have different colors. Let's say as as a rule, there is this color that there is this theory that says this part needs to have more cool tones just around the mouth. Then there is also the area, this area, which lies the cheeks and the nose, need more reddish shades. And here there is this area where you can add some more like ochre tones, earth tones to get a kind of result you want. But it's a very classical method, and sometimes faces like this one get influenced by other factors, like the light that's coming in from different angles, that make it very difficult to apply these rules so strictly. So I tend not to do so, but some of it is still, you can still see a bit, you know, like the cool tones around the mouth, and especially the somewhat rosy glow of her cheeks. This area is also somewhat cooler over here. And I need to add somewhat more light up here. On this side of the eyelid there is also some light. You see that the eyelashes are still like not really worked out. They should be to some extent, but it's not that I would recommend you to paint all the hair separately. It's more the impression you want to give. And by this you can just add a bit of blue and a bit of sienna to a mixture that's really dark and resembles black. There's also a tiny thing on top of it, like that. I wouldn't say that it is perfect, but for now I'll leave it at that. Over here it also needs some more darkness. So the eyes are closed, so I can't explain about how it works inside of the eye, like the pupil and the iris and stuff. I'll have to make a separate explanation about that one when the painting comes up with it. You see there is a hard line around the nostrils, because there the skin really folds. So it needs to be quite strong there. Whereas there are other places, especially on the cheek, where you really need this soft, almost transparent gradients. So I have 3 brushes now, one with the dark color, and one with the warm tones, and another one with the cool tones. So I don't have to grab a new brush every time. I can just use them for a longer time, because it doesn't really matter if the exact color is on the brush already. So you have the mouth, and I already put some nice rosy color. Of course I did it with lots of cadmium red. It's very ideal for this. And a bit of blue and a bit of sienna. Yeah. So when I want to refine it, I want to look at the shape, and the shape is quite okay. This needs to go up a bit. But what's important, if you look at a lip, you will see that there are some points where it's really almost red. Stay within the light, Ralph. A tiny bit of, that's not bad. And other points where it's turning almost like this lilac shade, like over here. Once again, you can see that there is also cool light coming in from somewhere. That gives the lilac shade. It's always like moving around with the brush a lot when you paint it, like a lip or something. So therefore it's important to just take your time when doing it. Maybe you need more layers to get your results. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be excellent at once. Need some more darkness in it as well. This looks ridiculous. So I have to just shape first once again, and then add some highlights again. It's getting better. It's getting somewhere. And now I need to add some dark values to make sure that the depth is okay. A lip is, when you look at its shape, you might find it's not just a straight line. It goes deeper into the face when you come closer to the corner of the mouth. And what's also very important is that the lips in itself, mostly the upper lip, is, for most people, stands more forward than the underlip. Not sure if it's a word in English, but the underlip, we just call it that. And that's something very important when you make a shape of a painting, that you have to find a way to make this upper lip stand out a bit more. So what helps is if you have some shadow between the upper and the under lip. And then there's the soft corner around the underlip, which also stands more out than the rest. So this is the closest point to the viewer, and this as well. Over here it needs more light. So that's about the lip, and I think I will just leave it at that, because then I'll have something for another video, and I will show the other half of the face in another video, and we will be talking about how it works with the shadows. So I hope you're fine with that, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions about painting in general, oil painting, but particularly this subject, you know how to find me. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.